Hello and welcome to Infamous, the audio podcast. This is Brandon, or Mutilus on Discord.
This is Parker, go by One Who Parks on Discord.
And this is Aaron, I go by Treffinwood on Discord.
Welcome back for yet another riveting episode of Infamous. As always, links in the show notes. A few people have messaged me about 3D printing stuff. If you do need stuff, I should be mostly open for business, so just send me a message on Discord. However, last week we didn't talk about the Inhumans because Parker really wanted to talk about Inhumans.
I'm so excited. Let's do some news.
He's so excited. So we're also not talking about them today. We'll be talking about them next week.
No, there's news.
All right. News.
Hey,
News!
All right, this week we get to talk about some Inhumans. So what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to go through the characters first and then all the tactics cards. Even though they were released kind of staggered, like we saw half the tactics cards with two characters and half of them with the other, I'm going to do it characters first, okay? So let's go ahead and start with I'm just going to start with the banger, the one that I think is the most interesting one to discuss. All the other ones have merits, and I'm excited to hear what you think.
So
but I think this guy,
going alphabetically.
No, this guy is very polarizing. I'd really like to know if we agree with this guy or agree that this guy is strong or bad or somewhere between. Maximus the Mad. Maximus Boltagon, I think, is one of the weirdest characters they've ever tried to print in this game in so many ways. I want to know what you guys thought after reading him, because honestly, when I got done, I was like, I think this is either the most broken thing ever or it's the worst thing ever, and I cannot tell. He just seems like such a strange character. And go ahead.
Yeah. I don't think my initial impression was this guy sucks.
Yeah.
And then I got to his reactive power and I go, "Oh, okay." And so yeah. Aaron, are you reading him for the first time as well?
No.
Okay.
We're talking about It's Madness, My Favorite Kind. That's the one?
Yeah.
I mean, it's literally disruption field.
Yeah. It's just
it's not. It's better. Because it happens during the modified dice step, so you get to see what the roll is.
You are correct. It's better. It's the way that should have been written the first time.
Right.
And they probably intended it to work.
I don't know that that's that big of a difference. It is a better difference for sure, but I think most of the time you're using it beforehand. It is just nice because you might save power.
Yep.
So he's got an out of activation place, or rather post activation place. That's pretty good. He's got the really strong version of Dispersion Field. His attacks are fine. They're a little bit above fine. But the thing that blew my mind wide open, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around it, and I think it's perfect for this character. We're going to talk about this in a little bit, but I want to talk about the ability itself first. This leadership, though, is this great or terrible? What is this leadership?
Okay, so first time each turn an allied character attacks or defends during the mods, it must use the leadership, reroll one of its attack or defense dice. If the rerolled result is a skull, after the attack is resolved, your opponent places an allied character within one of its current position, and it gains power. I mean,
my first impression was this is awful.
Yeah, it seems just. I don't think it's bad because it just on its face it's a free mod. Mm-hmm. Getting placed one is not irrelevant. That is a big downside. It guarantees you're off a secure and maybe out of attack range, and it has to happen on the first attack.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a 1
or
in
defend.
8.
It can happen on your turn. I could attack your huge model with my Bob, and you have to re-roll your defense dice. If it's a skull, I moved you. I turned all of my models at first attacks into placing attacks, potentially. Ugh. Right? Ugh.
Also, read that last 5 words.
And this character...
Yeah, it gives Maximus power.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is just fucking stupid as shit. Why they write stuff like that? Because everyone's going to misinterpret it like they did Dracula.
Oh, you mean Maximus gets the power? Yeah, I can see that. But I'm just talking about.
I mean, that's the way you would write that.
To alleviate ambiguity, it should just write, and Maximus Boltagon gains 1 power. That's
I
exactly
don't know.
what
I
they
think
should write.
if that was the precedent, I would agree that it's fine. But they've already done it. Like that's the way it works. Like everyone who plays the game on a regular basis should know this interaction because
There's so many casual players, though.
Sure,
Anyway.
but I mean, if they play it the other way, if they're playing casual pickup games with their buddies, all that matters is they have a good time anyway.
Yeah. So I think this is a fucking horrible leadership. Absolutely
bad.
dog shit.
Because there's also just as many times, especially on defense, that you're just going to block out and be forced to reroll. Like, not every game, but like it's going to happen. Like,
Yes.
I'm rolling 2 defense dice. He has 2 defense dice. You're like, I rolled wild block. I guess I rerolled. Now I got skull. So now I have to get place. Like,
you
fuck.
could lose health because you rerolled good defense dice. You could lose damage if you got to reroll good attack dice. And if you roll, and all of the rolls become a possible placing effect. That is, ugh.
I mean, it's not. It is not likely for you to roll maximum attack or maximum defense, right?
It is definitely not normal. Yeah.
It will usually be of a benefit to reroll a die.
Usually will be. But also keep in mind that they're skulls. Like, what if you roll block skull on your 2 dice? Well, now you have to reroll the 1 block you have.
Yes, you do. Again, most often it's going to be good for you. The downside of being placed is just so fucking bad. It's horrible.
It's going to be really bad when it happens. Like, really, really bad. Also,
yeah, well, 1 in 8 fucking rolls. And if they're attacking you with their models, and they have 5 models, that's 5/8 chance when you're defending, you're going to get moved. And if you're attacking, you can almost guarantee, statistically, you will have 1 character placed every turn. Sorry, every round.
Yeah.
Every round due to this leadership.
Yeah, that wouldn't be surprising to me.
And if I'm playing against it, if I have a premium and a non-premium attack, I will use my non-premium attack first. Oh, my 4-die attack, I did nothing. Oh, you blocked 2. Go ahead and re-roll 1, jackass.
Yeah, the fact that I'm already blocking it
for no benefit, like
you
didn't max the block, but you blocked enough to where it doesn't matter, and now you get the possible trigger, and then you don't get the reroll on the attack that matters. Anyway, maybe I'm too vociferous, but I think the leadership is a handicap.
So how about this? The downside, the chance of getting placed on the skull is the worst negative effect of a leadership. Because normally it's like cost of power or once per like that's definitely the worst downside of any leadership, right?
Yeah, it's not close.
Yeah. So then you're combining it with if they didn't have the downside, where does this leadership rank out of 10? Probably an 8.
Free rerolls are great.
Free rerolls with limited timing is still great.
Yep.
So all of that, I think I would put it at a 4 out of 10. But more importantly, it's like it's only relevant if you're playing, because you're always going to choose the other leader, right? If you're playing Black Bolt 1, you're going to choose Black Bolt 1's leadership because it's better. Like Black Bolt 1's leadership is a great leadership. Maybe it doesn't super synergize with your team, but I don't think this is like horrifically bad. It's clearly better than like Sin. I would say this might be better than Winterguard.
God no, Winterguard's leadership is good.
No, Winterguard's leadership is good.
There's a lot of games where it does basically nothing.
This is I feel like it's this then Claw. Like I feel like
okay, I disagree with that. I think it's noticeably better than that. There's a lot of mods you're going to be getting.
But Claw can't actively hurt your win. Like Claw doesn't actively ruin
Claw does actively hurt your winning.
So okay,
I get what you're saying. There's no downside, right?
I think we're in agreement that this leadership is really bad. There is one thing that made me pause though. If you're playing it in humans, specifically, your Inhumans can already reroll if you're playing a lot of the Inhumans attack word. So turning all of your characters' first attacks into, Logan level attack. No, most of them don't pierce, so there's that. But there's a lot. Yeah. It is really cool that you're just generically doing that.
You can just play pierce models though, and it still helps.
Right. So I mean, it's not nothing.
Nope. So here's the reason why I hate it. It's because it's high variance. Like what you're talking about, maybe you just convert all of your, extra reroll dice into more attack dice, and you just roll up on people and don't roll skulls, and it's amazing. But if you want to play a super tight game, and all you need is to not be fucking moved off a point on your own goddamn turn, and you happen to
Don't
roll
attack,
skull and
yeah.
do nothing about it, like you will lose games because of this.
I definitely agree with that. There will be times when you're like, oh, I attacked you, and you ported off of Researcher as the last activation, and you're like, oops.
There's one thing that's funny. Right underneath this leadership, did you forget why you're here? Specifically allows you, if you want Maximus to babysit your army, he can spend one more power than he got from failing the forgetting the skull, because Maximus gets 1 power. If he has one other power, he can just put that model back where it was. But
only if they've already activated.
Only
if they're within range 3, and only if he hasn't activated yet.
I'm just saying, there is an opportunity with Maximus in his own kit to
it's not worthless.
alleviate it.
But for a 4-pointer with no personal movement economy, I guess he can choose himself. No, because he would never have an activated token.
Can he? I thought one of his abilities.
No, it says choose a character within 3 with an activated token. So logically speaking, it shouldn't be him, because you shouldn't be allowed to activate him with an activated token.
Correct.
There might be a weird interaction in the game that allows it, but it's never going to happen. So anyway, so it's effectively not himself, even though it's not specifically exclusionary.
Yeah.
But I have a weird question about his leadership, and you guys probably tell me I'm wrong, but there's no precedent for this to my knowledge. It says if the rerolled result is a skull. It says result, so that would be in the calculate results step, right?
Yeah, so you fucking
so
play
if I recal,
reality.
Yeah, so if you leadership and get a block, and then I recal, and it turns that specific die into a skull, does it trigger the leadership? Do I need to keep that die separate? Or, because as far as I know, every other instance says if you roll X, doesn't come into effect till the result step. If you mod it again, the next result still counts.
I would say no, if the rerolled result is a skull.
But
so
what is a result?
What do you mean?
Like, as far as I know, the word results referencing in MCP refers to the calculate results step.
I would say if the die that was rerolled after the reroll is a skull, and the die is not rerolled again after that. That's how I would rule it.
But it says after the attack is resolved. So it would only matter what you roll in that moment, but we're not going to resolve the effect till later after the die has been rerolled again.
So first of all, how are you rerolling skulls?
Recal.
Oh, recal doesn't let you reroll skulls?
Recal does not roll
This
skulls.
is the leadership, though, so you could have it on people that can reroll skulls.
Sure. So
like
here's what I really think.
Let's just say it's Dr. Strange.
So
right?
it's a two clause sentence. If the reroll result is a skull, period, then do this after the attack is resolved. So if you re-roll it into a skull and then re-roll it later, it still counts as having been re-rolled into a skull, and the leadership would trigger.
Okay, but like Shield of Seraphim says, whenever this character rolls dice after the effect is resolved, it gains 1 power if it rolled at least 1 block. So if I roll 3 blocks, then re-roll 3 hits, do I still get the power?
No.
Because the precedent is no, because those results don't matter at the point you're resolving the effect.
You are correct.
Same thing for cover or with pierce. Because we resolve pierce in the order, if I pierce into Mind Shield, my wild gets canceled, but so does the block.
Sure, and in all of those cases, it talks about looking at the results. This is re-rolling a specific 1 die in a pool, which clearly, after our discussion, is going to need one hell of an FAQ.
I think that intuitively I'm 100% on board with you. I'm just saying I don't know if there's the syntax precedent for how this should be resolved.
The one I thought of immediately was if you attack someone, their Crimson Dynamo uses Disruption Field. You must re-roll once, and since you're the attacker, you re-roll first, and you roll it into a wild, for example. Then your opponent says, all right, I then activate Disruption Field, re-roll that wild that you re-rolled with your leadership, and it rolls into a skull. Does that then trigger the leadership's secondary penalty?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's the die that was
in reverse.
But when I re-rolled it, I didn't roll a skull. But when they told me to re-roll it, I did. So that counts.
Wait, no, it would be.
It'd have to be the same both ways. Yeah.
No. Okay, so you are the Inhumans player, and you are re-rolling your attack because of the leadership, and it rolls a wild. Then they force a re-roll into a skull.
Sure.
No, that would not trigger leadership under my completely valid interpretation of the rules.
Yeah.
I'm viewing it very literal. Like, what was
Right.
the role of that leadership reroll? Period. Dot. Who cares what happened before or after that roll? Now, I'll also say if you have Reality Gem, you will never roll a skull.
Well, unless you roll more than one.
You
Nope.
do.
Go ahead. I'd say you can. Reality Gem will always treat it as a crit at any point in the die roll that you want.
Not
to
if
treat it
you
as a crit.
have already chosen a skull to be your crit.
I thought Reality Gem got around that.
No. It says one of your skulls is a crit.
And
right?
you can change
Yeah,
which one that is. That's what's so fucked about Reality Gem. As opposed to the other people who get to count stuff.
I haven't seen anything about that, so maybe you're referencing a ruling I'm unaware of.
Someone can let us know who's right and who's wrong.
Aaron, I don't think that your interpretation is wrong. I just think that there's, in every other precedent they've shown us in the game, the final result is what matters. And so if this is their syntax for saying that that's how this one is different, then that will be very important moving forward.
The alternative is you have to keep track of that one die.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Because that was the one that was rerolled. I agree. But again, either way, we need to know because it has relevance, right?
I agree.
There's one more thing I'll say about Maximus the Mad, and because I am a big Maximus from the comic book fan. He is a very kooky, psychotic genius, and his completely unhinged everything about his character, I think, translates into this card really well. I love how very unhinged this card feels. I give this card A++ for feeling like the character from the comic book. I love that he has this cool effect for his team, but there's this terrible chance that it goes totally wrong, because that's absolutely how he plays in the comic books as well. I also love that his stat line is weird as shit, and he has just a reroll to help him. I love it because that's also him from the comic books, right? He's a thinker, and no, he doesn't have any cool psychic powers. He's just a thinker. What?
He literally has psychic powers on this card, though.
No, I mean he doesn't have the ability to make you hit telekinetic force fields and shit like that. He doesn't trick you into. He doesn't trick you with his illusions or something. He's just really hard to outthink. But if you hit him in the face, he's just a guy or an inhuman guy, right?
So that's kind of part of this. Is he does have a better version of Disruption Field, but he's not Crimson Dynamo, right?
Yeah.
He's not 4 physical with DR.
Uh-huh.
He's 2 physical, no DR. And so you just throw shit at him and he melts.
He's just going to fall down.
Even if you just shoot him, how many times has Crimson Dynamo lived because it's take 2 down to 1, take 2 down to 1, take 2 down to 1. And you're like, Jesus. And it's he's not doing that and he's blocking half as much. He will just die. So, I don't know. I think overall, I would probably say I see Maximus as about a 3 out of 10. And part of that's his survivability. He also has no movement ability for himself. He has no action economy. He's worse than Crimson Dynamo at every single thing, except he can move move people I've already activated, which is a great fucking ability. But Aaron said, he has a worse leadership, and so you're just trading his ability to place himself for the ability to move activated people, which is better, I would say. But he's on such a worse frame, and his attacks I think are objectively worse. I mean, you could argue his Spender's better, but Beam 4 on a fucking free attack is crazy.
Aaron, are you all excited to play Maximus? I know you're not a comic book fan, or rather, you're not a comic book aficionado, so you don't always know where the source material is coming from. Are you excited about his rules as they are?
I am not.
Yeah, and that's what I think is going to happen. I think anybody who loves him from comic books, I think is going to windmill slam him because he's such the spitting image of him, of his persona in the comics. But I think everybody else is going to avoid him like the plague. Let's talk about King Black Bolt. Blackagar Boltagon is back, baby, and
no, he's black
and bigger than ever. I know this is the part where Aaron gets to play some Path of Exile because he probably looked and saw that he was a 6-pointer.
Yep, we started off with 1 value, and we don't look at the rest of the card.
Yeah.
I don't like that the king is not the leader. The non-king is the leader. That's just unfortunate for naming purposes, but it's whatever.
And his, you say he's not a leader, but he does have a leadership. And I want to talk about this.
Does he?
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and say it. It's one of our first non-leadership leaderships, and it's so interesting. The Inhumans
That's
now can
not a
have
leadership.
the first non-leadership leader was Thanos, right? Because the ability to spend power to buff your damage dice is as good or better than most leaderships. Aaron proved that whenever he decided to run the table with taking Thanos and a bunch of reroll characters. King Black Bolt. Go ahead.
Can we? I just don't want to call people leaders when they're not leaders, because I don't know who's listening at home. So I just don't want to be confusing to people. But I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Right. It's like there are support characters that support in ways other than leadership.
Right. Well, I'm saying this guy has something that looks like a leadership, but it's specifically not keyworded as a leadership, but it's a racial bonus, which is one of the very first ones we've seen like this, right? The Inhuman King. At the start of the activation phase, you can choose an allied character with Inhuman superpower, and he removes one special condition. There are leaderships that read exactly that effect for all your models, but this is specifically for Inhumans. So this is the first one we've seen. Literally, it's like you have a second leadership on the field, because as long as you're playing mostly Inhumans, at least. This is the very first character that I remember seeing like this. It has almost exactly the same effect as multiple leaderships in the game.
I mean, I don't think there's any leadership that does that. There's literally none, right?
Removing conditions from characters at the start of
the activation phase. Nobody does
but
that.
there's lots of leaderships that remove one special condition.
Sure. But it like always costs power, and it's not restricted to people with like a specific superpower. I get it. It's similar. Yeah.
It doesn't always cost power. Hydra doesn't cost power. It needs an attack. Winter Guard doesn't cost power. Sure. It just happens. And as Guardian costs power. But I'm saying this is the very first one. I don't know why you're so against this being like a leadership. It absolutely is like a leadership.
So the reason I just don't want to call it a leadership is because I don't want to be confusing to a new person that's just getting into the game. I
well,
agree
Brandon,
with
you just said
that
before
there is a heavy overlap.
Brandon, you just said before, anybody who plays this game seriously is just going to play the game.
Sure.
I think this is like a leadership, and calling it like a leadership is effective, right? It's functional, right? It's not a leadership. And the first thing I said was he's not a leadership, but he has a leadership-like ability. So I thought that was really cool. I think even though he is King Black Bolt, he doesn't have leadership in Inhumans, but specifically the Inhuman character trait, which is kind of like the race they all share. But not everyone in the affiliation has Inhuman, like Ronin or Quicksilver, Beast. So if you're playing them in the Inhumans leadership or the affiliation, you wouldn't get the benefit of Black Bolt's thing. But you could also use King Black Bolt in a totally different affiliation. As long as you put some Inhumans in there, then they would get the benefit of it. So you could have King Black Bolt in a list with Medusa, Crystal, and She-Hulk, and be playing A-Force, and 3 of your models would also be able to remove conditions, for example. I think that's cool. It's one of the very first models we've seen like this. The other one being, I think, Thanos, because Thanos is kind of has a leadership-like effect, because his ability to give one model extra dice is so strong. We've talked about it before.
I just think if you think that having a support power makes somebody effectively a leader, there's a ton of people that fit that mold, like Mordo, Shuri, Prime. Like I would say Prime is probably the closest, just because he feels like a leader in most lists. But
okay.
I don't know how I feel about this guy in general. He has so many rules.
A lot of them are ones we've seen before, though. There's nothing really. Yeah, he really just has a stack of good stuff, right?
Yeah.
He has old Black Bolt's dice buff they took it off of him, but now he has it. He's got the, what do they call it? An advance within 4. Is MODOK's that big? Is MODOK's within 4? OG MODOK?
AIM Lackeys was board wide.
No, not AIM Lackeys. The Bow to the Will of MODOK. It's 3.
Oh no, that was definitely range 3, but this is choosing.
Allied. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This is
field leader.
This is field leader.
Cheaper. I don't know why it's cheaper. It's just cheaper.
Yeah, it is cheaper field leader. Cheaper field leader.
This is like exactly what I dislike about Namor. It's just they just a la carted all the good abilities onto one person. It's like, hey, did you need a beam attack? Yeah, that also pushes. Yeah. And they're like, okay, and you need a great spender. Cool. Like the spender lets him move. It's longer range, which is fine. But yeah, he has this damage steroid. He has hit and run on a ranged character. He's got field leader. He's got a free reroll. He's got, is this damage reduction? Yep. He's
Yeah.
got damage reduction and extra power generation.
Ugh.
And he removes negative effects from himself or another person specific to the list. He has flight. He's got good hit points, good stats. Like, it's just like we just put all the stuff on one person with no obvious disadvantage at all.
Yeah, this is this guy. Well, he'll come into conversation if we get to talk about the other conversation today. I think this guy is a real big check mark in the plus column of how there's two different eras of models in this game, at least. And it seems like the Thors, the new Thor, the new King Black Bolt, the new Namor, like.
I guess he really doesn't hit that hard compared to old Black Bolt.
No Pierce.
I mean, arguably, Master Punch was better, right? Isn't Master Punch 8 dice with auto throw? Throw on damage, rather?
I mean, Master Punch is 7 dice, size 4 or less, throw short, and place 1.
Is it auto throw, or is it throw on damage?
Throw on damage.
Okay, so this is +1 dice, move medium instead of place 1, and throws on a wild. But his attack previously was range 4, 6 dice pierce?
Yes.
Okay. So we have a beam 4, 5 dice, no pierce, but has push. And he can up the dice by 2.
Yeah, he can make it all 7 dices.
He's going to get a crazy amount of power, too, because he's going to beam, hit and run, beam again a lot. And he'll get to the point where he's upping the volume on, like, multiple attacks.
He's rerolling 1 on all those beams as well.
Also, you have an automatic first turn. You're going to walk forward, hit and run, shoot, walk to a point, and then also get to pick up an objective, because he's going to get the gainer.
Yeah.
He's very beefy with DR and 7 hit points.
8 on the backside.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely an example of have your cake and eat it too.
The only thing that feels a little saving grace is he's not just a fucking damage stick on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
But he still, I mean, for someone who is that hard to kill, he does hit hard.
I would say it's damage. You're kind of training like damage consistency, like spreading it out. Mm-hmm. But you can't just be like, I'm going to remove your model because it's there. Meh, because I can stack 12 dice plus throws and shit. Yeah.
But I mean, if you're shooting into good defense models, he will struggle to kill them. Mm-hmm. Like if you're like, oh, I have DR and good dice and mods, you're like, okay, yeah, he's good. He's not going to punch through that. Mm-hmm. Aaron, are you still abstaining?
Yep.
Yeah, Aaron's abstaining.
Okay.
And Aaron, I agree with this guy is a good reason to abstain. I can see why you're abstaining.
I don't know that he's broken. I just dislike the design logic behind him. Like, I actively feel Namor is broken. But
so we'll go ahead and change the subject to a nice, tame 3-pointer. Because this guy couldn't be turned up. I'm kidding, of course. I think this guy is fucking turned to shit. So if we went from a 4-pointer that's probably going to stay on the shelf a lot to a 6-pointer that just has all the goodies. Let's talk about a 3-pointer that I think is just turned to 11 for a 3-pointer, just pushing what you should be able to do with one. Karnak. Now, I'll start with saying I love Karnak as a comic book character. I love the version they picked of him, which is the awesome hoodie Street Fighter version. I love his model, and I love like the concept of the character. But I was expecting there to be a tame fighter character. And that is not what I got. I feel like this guy is 11. Tell me that I'm wrong, and I shouldn't be scared.
I mean, I've started reading him now. I have not read him yet, but he definitely seems pretty bad so far, so I'll keep reading.
Okay.
Well, Parker, why don't you start by telling us why you think he's so jacked?
Okay. Step 1, a size unrestricted push. Now we have 2 characters in the game that are 3 points can do a size unrestricted push. The first one
for
being
3 points?
At 3 points. The first one being Iron Man, and now Karnak.
Yeah, that's probably correct. I think a lot of the unrestricteds are at least 4 points.
Yeah. So that's number 1. It is range 2, so you have to get up close, but he is also a martial artist, so he doesn't mind that much. He had his spinner is pretty strong. It can explode if your opponent gets the wrong dice. It also gets better with things like recalibration. So on top of that, he's yet one more character that is all about the skulls, baby. And we know that in recent time, a new trend that AMG is pushing a lot in their new characters is being able to use skulls. And I feel like this guy not only allows him to use skulls very effectively, but he's also using the skulls of his friends. It's pretty steep, but I think he can get there because he has his own ability to gain power. So being able to tell any of your characters they now get to just use their skulls after you see your dice, that is pretty knuck and futz. And then he has a Drax effect, only better, with a weakness token.
I don't think it's better.
I think it is, right?
It's way worse. It costs 2 power to use.
Analyzing Strike?
Yeah. Because you have to spend 2 power to give them the weakness token.
Oh, okay. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Drax just does it for free.
That's true. So,
and it's other than that, it's the exact same mechanic, I believe.
No, Drax is not attack and defense. It's just attack, right?
Oh, you can use it on defense rolls.
Yeah.
Ooh,
and so his martial artist becomes much bigger pools. And he rerolls on top. I think reroll on top, if you never use Teachings of the Three Worlds, and if that wasn't on his card, I still think he's a pretty pushed 3-pointer. With teaching as an option on top of it for crucial attack rolls and defense rolls. And remember, I say crucial because you can always roll it and go, oh, no skulls, so I just keep my 4 power. But as soon as you do roll skulls, you're like, okay, I'd like those to be hits or blocks. They just are.
Sure. Do you want me to give you an outcome? You want to keep going on his card?
Oh, no, I just think I think I love him. I love that he's great because I want to play him, and I think I'll be rewarded every time, and I'll never, ever be sad that I played him. And that makes me happy, but I don't know if other
a few things. First off, I've never seen another version of Karnak, so I'm glad you like this one because I don't want to know what the other one looks like.
It looks really stupid.
I bet. Secondly, I think he's bad. I actually he's not unplayable, obviously. Like, he has gas, but I don't think he's what I would consider to be a competitive 3. I think he's probably, I guess, I'd probably say like a B- of 3s, which I would say it probably isn't making the table unless he's just he's affiliated and you don't have a better 3. I could see Crystal pushing him out of some lists.
Whoa.
Now, that's specifically because you need like a long mover or like someone who can triple attack. Like, there's a reason she pushes him out, not just on base stats, but he doesn't have movement economy. He's got a range 2 attack. That is his base. Like, he's got a 4-cost spender that's not coming out every turn.
Okay.
A martial artist is cool, but he does not have a stat line to support it. And I don't know what he's supposed to do other than die. He seems to be like a lot like a reimagining of Iron Fist without the clock that Iron Fist has. Like, if you just keep Iron Fist alive, he'll do something. I don't know what Karnak's going to do.
I do see. I hear you about the inability to move himself. Yes. Yeah. Like, that's a big way that they balanced him. I don't think he's completely imbalanced. Mm-hmm. What I think he is really good. So I do think the balance is definitely that. However, if you want to, and I'm not saying you have to, or if it's the right way to use them, but if you want to, you could just meditate and have Teachings of Three Worlds for your models. So if you never get the chance to attack that turn,
I think there's an obvious play pattern that makes him good if it works. Is you play Infinity Formula or some slow B, stick him on a back point, meditate every turn that you can, get as much power as you can, and then when somebody moves up to try and take your point, become a god, right? Because you're like, okay, cool, you hit me, I don't die, I put my token on you, and then on my turn, here comes the spender that's kicking in up to 10 dice with a reroll and count 2 skulls, and you just obliterate them, right? Like, I could see that working, but you're going to do that to somebody who doesn't know how your model works. And anyone else is just going to go, cool, I walk up and throw you off the point. And you're like, oh, cool. So my turn, I walk up and punch you for 5 dice. Mm-hmm. You're like, cool.
You're right. If he gets controlled at all, that he's definitely just that. Mm. It's funny, of all the Inhumans we've seen so far, I feel like this might be the one who works best with OG Black Bolt, because being able to give some power to him would be useful.
Yeah.
Also, he's a meditate character. So for the first time ever, you can play an Inhuman for 3 costs that's going to let you use him as a battery for your other characters.
Yeah, the concept if you needed a battery and you were bringing Lockjaw, who really isn't a combat piece, and you have Karnak on turn 3 instead of Lockjaw on turn 3, I think that's valuable.
Yeah.
But he's super not proactive, right? Like he's very reactive. And so he's not going to go take board state from people because walking into guns is not what this guy wants. Yeah. Honestly, if he had stealth instead of the skulls thing, I think he'd be a better model. Because at least then you're not just going to get gunned down off of a point.
I think he should be. He's the 3-point character, so he should. He should something about him should be fair. Yeah.
Yeah. He to me feels a lot like the 2025 version of Drax, and not just for the vengeance thing.
Yeah.
But Drax seemed crazy busted when we read his stats because our baseline was Crossbones. Drax coming out the next year was like, this is insane. But then you see him on the table and you're like, oh, maybe not. And then Mysterio was the next one. 3-pointer, infinite words, crazy interactive abilities. And then you see him on the table and you go, oh, yeah, he just can't do enough because he's too slow or doesn't have the range or whatever. And so I just think he's the next one in that series. He's probably fine, but I don't see him like being a meta 3-pointer.
No. I do think I'm with you that I don't think this guy's going to take over a meta. However, after playing a lot of Inhumans and specifically playing Inhumans in Inhumans, I can tell you I was desperate for this Inhuman at the 3-point slot, which is somebody who I could put somewhere, like you said, and count on him still being there.
Yeah, you just need a 3-pointer that can fight, and that's really all you need.
Right.
That's fair.
Aaron, you haven't weighed in yet, and he's not 6 points. What do you think of Karnak?
I lean more towards Brandon than you.
You're doing that a lot these days.
I know. I die a little inside every time. Teaching is nuck and futz. That is amazing. It's held back by the 4-point cost.
Like even if he stands still and meditates, he's not going to get there. So it's like doing it every other round doesn't seem worth the cost.
It'll happen once a game. It also kind of sucks. It's another allied character because, as Brandon said, you're just going to fucking murder this guy.
Well, his spender, if you're spendering people, like it doesn't matter because he's already adding skulls, so who cares?
Yeah. I mean, I like the spender, but again, what's the play pattern that this guy does? He wants to get up in it. But I don't know that 3/3/4 with an Inhuman reroll is really going to save him against people who want to kill him. Outside of 2, right? Which a lot of people can do.
And people are already bringing stuff for martial artists because Shang-Chi's fucking everywhere. And so, like, they're going to have answers in their list.
I don't think this is a bad character. I do not think this is a compelling character. How about that?
I'll actually disagree that Shang-Chi is not the reason why people are fighting martial artists, because Shang-Chi specifically cannot be stopped in all the ways you stopped other martial artists. Because like
throws and stuff. Like the answers to martial artists are still the answers, right? They're just
throws. Sure.
He's just better than normal martial artists are. Yeah. Like mystic attacks probably don't get through Shang-Chi, right?
Shang-Chi doesn't care.
Yeah, but people, there's still a lot of martial artists in the meta. But yeah,
right.
Shang-Chi specifically. But yeah, Aaron brought a list to the last tournament that had 7 throwers in it.
No.
It's like
9
throwers.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, people are prepared to kill victim stat lines because you have martial artists is going to keep you alive. But it is obviously a good ability, right? It's just the meta we live in. You have to be prepared to kill that.
All right, so let's switch to the other new 3-point Inhuman that likes to get stuck in, because clearly they were missing that. That's actually one of the reasons why I like this release so much, is these 2 models really open up some things that Inhumans didn't have before. And it's Gorgon. He is the second 3-pointer in the game that has a 4 physical defense, which I think is really interesting, maybe noteworthy.
What?
Hold on. The first one is Strucker.
No. There's like 10 or 20.
No, there's not.
4 physical?
Oh, you're right. Crossbones.
There's so many.
Crossbones does.
There's
Cage.
A ton. Iron Man, War Machine, Lizard.
What am I thinking?
Blob.
Lizard does not.
Someone put a fucking...
Lizard is 4 physical. 100%.
No,
he also has DR.
Lizard is not.
I'm going crazy.
Okay, Brandon,
Aaron, I'm
going to need you to timestamp this and move it to the front of the podcast.
Holy shit.
Well, I thought 4 physical defense was rare on 3-pointers, and I was fucking wrong. I always thought that Strucker was cool because he had 4 physical defense, but
I mean, he is, but difference between cool and rare.
Yeah,
Luke Cage. Like, there's so many.
I thought fucking Hawkeye is in
There's
heaven.
so
I'm rattling
many.
them off the top of my head.
Yeah, Hawkeye has 4
That's what I just said, yeah.
Squishiest guy in the game.
Yeah. Okay, well, fuck it. Gorgon is just like all the other 3-pointers.
We play the game, we swear. We don't just make shit up.
I even know the models, and for some reason in my head,
We need Jeremy back so we can get some real in-depth meta talk.
Because he remembers all the stats so well.
He's so good at numbers. Oh man, that saved this podcast. I really appreciate that, Parker.
Thanks.
I'm right there now. I got all the energy in the world.
Go for it.
Okay, so
tell me why Gorgon's not that bad.
So what's his backstory? He seems cool. Like, visually, he's the most interesting Inhuman I've ever seen.
So, he is Crystal's brother, I think.
Oh, I'm out. Never mind. Hard out.
Or cousin, I can't remember. But basically, the Mist gave him the Inhuman part of him is his legs. He's functionally like a
oh
reverse.
No, he's got hooves.
Yeah, he's functionally like a reverse Minotaur, where he's got
damn it.
He's got hooves for feet. He can slam them down. He's super strong and fast. Think of it, he's like a bull, like literally like a bull person, but doesn't have the fur.
Never mind, I'm so out. Oh my! Every word you've said about this guy has made me hate him.
Yeah.
God damn it. Okay.
In terms of the comic books, he's very uninteresting. He's just kind of he's literally a brash, bull-headed, Inhuman guy. He is usually like part of the guard. He is he guards the royal family.
Yeah, he's a bruiser. Yeah, just throwaway muscle. Okay, well, he's basically Scourge, but instead of generating 2 power, he has charge. I don't know if you're noticing a pattern here. If we could just merge them together, we could get a good character.
He's got a reroll, charge, 3 different attacks.
Yeah, but he doesn't have a way to get the... so having a beam 3 is cool. Shock is also a good ability to have on a beam. Charging into position to use said beam, still good. Rerolls on beams, still good. He's just, again, he's not quite victim stats, but he's squishy-ish. Yeah. 3-pointer, he's solid, but like for the game, he's weak. He's probably fine. I think this guy actually has a little bit of gas, especially if you're just talking about I'm playing Inhumans, so he's got access to the extra power. This guy has gas. I actually would be way more excited to play this guy than the other Karnak. Because Karnak feels like a Rube Goldberg machine, right?
Right.
And this guy just like give power, press button. He's a flowchart.
I know, but that's why I want to play Karnak, because he's Rube Goldberg. This guy also, God Crusher is just great, just a great spender.
It is. It's a very good spender.
Automatic size 4 throw, 8 dice and a stagger. Jesus Christ! Like, yeah.
The fact that he's going to come in and he's going to do a 5-die builder, hopefully get some power, get to 4 power next turn, and immediately be threatening. Like, the fact they're going to have to attack him. The fact that he has taunt seems bizarre to me, other than like a thematic reason, because you would never want to taunt onto this model. You would never want to spend power on him, and you would never want him to get attacked. You would want to force your opponent to attack him. Like, he has taunt by his card. Like, the fact that he's just going to God Crusher every turn. Like, that's the taunt. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like, I have an attack called God Crusher and charge. You're like, yeah, I'm going to kill that guy. Fuck that dude. What's your energy defense? 3, and I have 6 hit points. You're like, cool, I'm going to kill that guy.
I don't know. I'm kind of partial to Hoofquake.
Yeah. No, Hoofquake is great, actually. It's a really good attack, but that's your turn 1 attack.
I think that he's, like you said, he doesn't need taunt, because the best taunters are the ones where you don't want to waste actions on them, like Honey Badger and...
Okoye is a great person to put taunt on.
Or Honey Badger or Luke Cage, because none of them are ones you want to attack. Yeah. But he is absolutely somebody you're like, yes, let me attack your...
it's not negative tempo. It's specifically, I need to save this person's life.
Right.
The fact that he has charge and taunt is a nice combo, because he's naturally getting to the enemy, and therefore his taunt is in a good position. But that's too much power for a 3-pointer that has no extra power generation. If his beam was a gainer, this guy would be fucking sweet. Because you just charge beam 4 people and then spender them immediately. That could be amazing. I mean, you never get 4 people under a beam 3 unless your opponent was an idiot or you're playing like Researcher, but it'd still be cute.
What do you
No,
like?
I like this guy. It seems like a good kit.
Yeah. What do you like about Gorgon, Aaron?
I don't have much to add other than what you guys talked about. I don't love him. He is too squishy. But yes, his offensive output is nice. I actually foresee people fucking up the taunt.
Choosing taunt when they shouldn't? Yeah.
No, the opponents choosing to attack a different model, trying to get Gorgon to spend the power to take it. The person being like, okay, whatever, hit Medusa, and be like, oh, fuck, actually, I wanted to attack Gorgon. I just wanted you to be 2 less power. I don't know how many times I want to attack Honey Badger or Luke Cage.
And you're trying to bait it?
Yeah,
like, please spend your fucking power.
Declare the attack on someone else. They'll be like, taunt. And I'll be like, oh, man. And inside I'm like, yeah, baby.
God, I hope I do just enough damage to let him taunt again.
Right?
And you're just burning through the power I'm giving you. So, like, yeah, get rid of all that power. You don't need it.
So I'll be... I'm sure I'll probably be like, okay, attack this other guy. And someone will be like, fine. I'll be like, oh, shit. So...
He also has an auto throw up to size 4 on the spender.
His spender's great.
Yeah.
Shock is really, really fucking annoying. So
on a beam.
Yeah, everything about his attack suite is great.
Yeah.
Everything after his attack suite, other than charge, is pretty dog shit.
Free rerolls? Get out of here. Everything on his card is great. It's just Scornergy to have taunt and charge on the same model.
I mean, pretend he doesn't have taunt, right? Just take it off the card, and what do I think about this model?
Yeah.
It's
fine. Clearly better to
for
have
a 3
it, right?
threat. He's totally fine. Yeah. He is not, godly X23 levels of I'm going to murder this person. He does some interesting and unique things. Totally in line. Like, it's weird to say that they have created a character that is on the fucking bell curve.
Yeah.
Like, on the top of it. I'm like, okay, perfect.
I think he is about 1 tick past where I think the bell curve should be for 3s. Which is totally fine to have models like that being released. If more models were in line with this guy, I think that I would be much happier with where the game is.
This guy does remind me of, I want to say like 2 Novembers ago, when we were getting a lot of releases like him, right? Where it's just like more guys in the game that have effects, and they are the characters they are from the comics. They give options to affiliations if you want to play, more affiliated models in your affiliation to give you those options. No longer in Inhumans do you feel like you have to play, out of affiliation, melee stuck-in models.
You're not playing Taskmaster in fucking Inhumans just to get affiliated.
Yeah, because Inhumans didn't have it.
I have a question for both of you, and I think this is going to be an obvious answer for Parker, and maybe not an obvious answer for Aaron. You have to cut one of these guys from the game. Which one are you cutting?
Okay.
One of the 3s.
Oh, one of the 3s. Okay.
Gorgon or Karnak are gone from the game forever. You have to pick right now.
Gorgon, not even close.
Yeah, I assumed that would be your answer.
It's Karnak. Just based on how the models look.
Yeah.
I think Gorgon's model is pretty fucking sweet.
I also think his character looks more fun to play with and play against. I also choose Karnak. I would rather have Gorgon in the game.
It's okay to be wrong.
Well, think about it this way though. It's like part of it is like I don't want people making all their skulls fucking count. I don't want to play against that list. Like I think this is Gorgon is a healthy release. I think Karnak is a non-healthy release. Well, so I think it will A, lead to people playing him and having a bad time because his kit didn't work, and B, people playing against it when it does work are going to have a bad time. It's the zero-sum logic of fun, right? And I think Gorgon is not that.
Okay. I picked it specifically because I love the character Karnak, and that is the last thing I'll say about this box in terms of characters. I feel like
Karnak's a really cool concept of a character too.
Yeah. Unlike some of their releases recently, even characters that I love, like Elsa, I felt like Atomic Mass kind of missed the mark of the character translating into the game. I feel like this box just radiates, it just oozes their character from the comics. As much as we don't like Black Bolt and his kind of generic rules, he is just kind of a generic Superman. Like, he kind of has every superpower, and it's fucking dumb. But this guy has every superpower, and he's fucking dumb. Like, that's what he felt like. The original Black Bolt did not feel like the Black Bolt from the comics as much as this one does. Maximus is perfect. Karnak is really awesome. The Gorgon is exactly spot on. I feel like they are really good versions of the characters from the game. Kudos for that. Absolutely.
Are you saying that Black Bolt. This Black Bolt feels more like the comic book Black Bolt.
Much more, yes.
Okay, why does he have every superpower in the comics? I thought his only power was he has the sonic beam thing.
No, it's not sonic at all. He has no sound powers. His power is
It's
super
the
dumb.
destabilization ray, though, right?
No, he basically controls molecules with his mind. Is functionally what his power is.
Okay.
The way it manifests is like when he vocalizes, it activates the centers of his brain that like trigger it.
Because it's basically his speech center of his brain is what controls his power. So conveniently, when he tries to talk, it makes the effect happen, but it's not tied to his voice.
No, and so also,
okay,
go ahead.
I just thought his power was basically disintegrate shockwaves, but if you're just saying he has matter manipulation, that's very different.
Yeah, he has like matter manipulation, and so like when like his master blow, the thing called the master blow, is actually him like taking his power and wrapping it around his fist and kind of like iron fisting. He is more impervious to damage than other Inhumans because he literally, when matter gets close to him, he can just like make it fall apart, and he can do it intuitively. And this is super stupid because they're like, well, how does anybody talk to Black Bolt? He's a fucking king. So they just wrote in that he has telepathy also, and you're just like, why? He just kind of has every superpower, and he flies. You're like, why can he fly? He's like, cause
so compelling.
Yeah, it really is. He really is like a Superman. He's not the Superman of the Marvel Universe, but he's like that, where he just kind of has every power. Every time somebody brings up something about how does Black Bolt X, Y, or Z, they just give him another power, functionally. And so this one does fit the Black Bolt mold. It really does. A lot of generic powers stacked on top of powers. So, yes, this is Black Bolt, actually. For better or for worse. All right. Let's talk about some Tactics cards. Let's start.
I forgot we still had Tactics cards.
We'll go through this a little bit quicker. Let's start with the one that Bar's mentioning, in my opinion, a little bit more.
Oh, can we just go alphabetically?
Oh, I will try.
I'm looking at MCP so I'm looking at them alphabetically. So when you're changing the order, I'm having to find them.
Okay, so I guess the first one would be Genetic Prophecy by alphabet.
Okay. Yep.
Genetic Prophecy is interesting. It's a Black Agar Boltagon card, specifically only in humans.
What the fuck? Okay, yeah, that card's fucking stupid.
Kinda, but I think it's just great.
There's a tax card, just flat gives you 2 victory points.
Yep.
Yeah, that's dumb. All right.
You
cost
basically
0 power. 0 power, get 2 victory points. Cool. Game's not power crept at all. What's next?
Any Black Agar Boltagon can do it. He has to just you lose both of your attack actions, but you can still interact. You can still bodyguard. You can still do other stuff.
You can still move though.
Yeah. You can still move. So you can. Black Agar Boltagon specifically only has attack actions to do, except bodyguard. So it does actually work. It does actually do something to both of them. It's not like one of them has a throw or something they can automatically do. So you're still contributing a lot. But if you have the opportunity to activate early with one of your Black Agars and interact with some points, play this card, get 2 more victory points, it could just be a big victory point swing for you.
Except it's during the power phase.
Right.
It's not so you're down early and you give up your 5/6 threats entire activation, other than double moving to a point or flipping. I
think the important part is it allows you to turn the corner. I don't think anyone's going to play this, but I think it allows you to turn the corner against scenario lists when you have like your big attrition turn. You're like, okay, I got you to drop all your extracts. I'm going to play this, get 2 victory points, and then go play scenario for the rest of the turn. And then you can get caught up on scenario to where you're not going to just lose out. Like, it lets you get to 16 when you normally wouldn't be able to, maybe.
I mean, I think this card's actively bad.
Sure. I just think anytime you print 0 power cost, gain 2 victory points on a card, that's an issue. It does have a huge downside, right? I just don't like the concept. Yeah.
Sure. You may not like I will buy you, don't like the concept.
It's a bad precedent.
There is one thing about that we have already seen, and I've seen people pilot it. I've seen people pilot the all scenario blitz Inhumans list, right? That list didn't care so much that Black Bolt actually activated. The problem is the scenario blitz list is often a hidden scenario, right? Yeah. So it is a blitz list. So that's one of the things I do like about Genetic Prophecy. At first I went, oh no, now the the all scenario Black Bolt list only has to get to 14 instead of 16 because they're counting on 2 every game if they play this card.
It doesn't do that.
But then I'm like, wait a minute, they'll never be down because if they're down ever, they're just losing badly.
No, I think it just allows you to play a super aggressive early game and then turn the corner on attrition. Like, oh, I'll let you pick up the midline extracts and then I'll kill your people, take them, and then score 2 points that turn. Or if there's a turn where you're like, oh, Black Bolt's going to die because he's, I don't know, either holding cubes or he's in a position where he's going to get killed anyway.
Yeah, there are edge cases where this card becomes useful, but I think it's edge, not every. But maybe somebody can show me I'm wrong. Let's keep moving to In Homo Supremus. This is my favorite card because I love rerolls. More rerolls were much more better. This is a very strong Inhumans card.
So your Inhuman superpower doubles in effectiveness, so you can reroll 2 dice while you're within 3 of an ally.
Inhumans.
An ally Inhuman. And it's Inhumans, not people with the Inhuman superpower. So it's affiliated model.
Right, but you don't get the reroll if you're
correct.
It
doubles the effectiveness of the Inhumans rule while 2 affiliated models are within 3 of each other.
Yes.
Or rather, the attacking models within 3 of an ally. Whereas no, it's just within 3, so it's not even attacking.
Yeah, it's within 3.
Oh, it is only on making attacks. So it doesn't work on defense. Good.
Right.
Still a good card.
Good card. We already have Hood's Gang in the game. Like we already know, you can get rerolls. It doesn't cost 4 to play Hood's Gang. It just costs a character that's good. So I don't think this card is broken. I just like it because I also like Hood's Gang. Just more rerolls, more better.
Well, didn't Hood's King have a requirement though? They had to be within range 1 of.
You had to be attacking somebody who's contesting any. Mission.
So Hood's Gang was generally considered bad by me, generally, because of when you had to play it during Hood's activation. The fact that you're able to play this card during the power phase is what we wished Hood's Gang was.
Yeah. Also,
I
the
think
fact that you had having to activate him, but also Hood would have to be in human form. So if you got stuck into demon randomly, it would fuck up your turn order.
Right. Anyway, 4 power for what. The second reason I really, really like it is the reason Hood's Gang was good in the first place, which is you're stacking rerolls on top of rerolls.
Right.
I don't have to tell you, Parker. You're the master of doing that. So the Inhumans do that automatically. So you don't have to bring another leadership just to make this card good. If you want to double down on Inhumans, which I think this card wants you to do, which I appreciate, I think it's a fucking auto include.
Yes.
Yeah, the fact that you could just bring shove a Zemo or a Strucker in your Inhumans list already, and then just line up, have Black Bolt pile power on somebody for turn 2, and first activation of turn 2, you have triple rerolls.
I don't think you need to go through that hoop. I think you're fine just playing all the Inhumans that are currently in and just getting.
Well, I don't think putting Zemo in is going to hurt you that much, but yes, you wouldn't have to. But
yeah. So we all agree that good card. I am really excited to play it because I like playing Inhumans. Yeah. I like playing Inhumans in my Inhumans list, and so I'm really excited to see this one. Speaking of Inhumans, one of my favorite ladies is getting a leadership card. Inhuman Queen. Medusa is going to become a leader for your Inhumans if you so choose, and I do so choose because I think it's cool for her to be the leader. I don't know. I mean, this we know about this leadership
Malekith's
before.
Leadership,
It is basically Malekith's leadership.
Because it's once per turn. His is not.
So it's very, very slightly his. So if you're planning on playing really aggressively, it's just good. I don't, or if you're specifically saying with all the cool new 3s, you're like, I'm not going to play original Black Bolt, or maybe if you're trying to fit new Black Bolts, and we all agree that Maximus is difficult to play with his leadership. This allows you to play leadership and the new Black Bolt. So yeah, Aaron, what's your trash scale on this? Using a tactics card to give you this specific leadership. I'm curious. Is it worth a tactics card to give you this?
I think we lost Aaron for a second. There we go. Aaron, do you think this Inhuman Queen card is worth taking up a tactic slot?
It is. The only way you're playing Black Bolt 2 under ineffective leadership.
That's not true. You could put him with shield.
Well, okay, in Inhumans.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
But do you think it's worth it? You are correct that that's the only way to play a good leadership in Inhumans while playing Black Bolt 2, but
I'm gonna say yes. I think tactics cards are at such a lack of a premium compared to what they were. You generally have spot for a bunch of stuff in your list. This is the question is, does it become one of your 5? Time will tell. I think it's a good leadership, so probably. I'm gonna be thumbs up on it right now.
I actively hate this card. I had not read it until just now, and
What?
I'm very upset.
You're upset?
Yeah, no, I'm very pissed off.
Good God. Moving on.
They took my favorite leader in the entire game, nerfed him 3 separate times, dumpstered him to where he's unplayable, banned every tactics card that made him even close to playable, just to reprint a tactics card leadership for another faction that does the same thing. Yeah, I don't know what to say. It just feels like they have. What's the point if we're just going to nerf something just to release something that's better? Like,
well, this is not better; it's cheaper, right? Because
it's not. Yeah, a 4-point leader versus 7-point leader is pretty substantial. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like this, in terms of actual leadership, unlike Malekith, where Malekith was designed to wheat, just just shake them all down, and I feel like there's not an Inhuman that does that, because I think both of us agree that King Black Bolt is actually not like that. He doesn't just knock down every character. So I feel like there's currently not an Inhuman that does that, but it doesn't. I guess you could play this and play other, Apex Predator kind of list.
I mean, yeah, but you don't have you can still play Black Bolt 1, can't you? I didn't read all. You could,
you could choose. Yeah, you could choose Black Bolt 1, and
it's just a bunch of text that says it's a leadership. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys.
Yeah, so you just play. Good.
You guys did catch the Black Bolt 2's extra dice was for the entire attack action, and he has a beam, right?
Yeah.
I did not read that, but that makes sense.
I don't know why you're just saying he's pillow fisted.
Oh, I was saying he doesn't point and click remove things like a lot of other 6-pointers where he just looks at one model and it auto dies because of how many dice
he does. Extremely efficient damage. Extremely efficient damage. But he's not like, I do 7 to that guy.
Sure.
I think it's stupid.
Jacked.
Yeah, it's all stupid.
Okay.
I don't know why everyone isn't just building their best, bring the most efficient damage list they can in Inhumans right now. Sure.
Well, it's not out yet, but sure.
Sure. I guess that's a good reason.
The next card is...
Thank God we nerfed everything so that this can come out.
This is the hot take. I don't think people are going to reach for Medusa instantly so that they can definitely play this leadership because it's so broken. I don't think that's...
they probably won't because,
Plots Within Plots is the next card. It's Maximus's card. You don't have to be an Inhuman to play this one. What do you think? I think this one is crazy good. If the other ones were frustrating and some of them were very, very strong, this one I think is crazy good.
I don't know. It would really depend on the list you're playing, and I don't know Inhuman lists that well, I guess.
Well, it doesn't have to be Inhuman anywhere. As long as you
that's right. Just have Maximus in it. Yeah, it's probably really good.
I'm going to agree with you both.
Yeah, I feel like there could be moments where it does nothing, right? Or it does 1 or 2 movements. Because if you move your character within 2 of multiple characters, none of those characters can move, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can, as an opponent, against the opponent of Plots Within Plots, you can make it less effective. But the fact that anyone on the board anywhere can move, potentially, as long as your opponent doesn't have that allied character not within 2.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, the enemy character. Yeah, so not an enemy character. So, A lot of movement, potentially. I could also see this happening on turn 3 and doing absolutely nothing because everybody's stuck in the combat and just shooting each other. So...
Yeah, I didn't see the not within 2 at the end before. I actually don't think this is that good. I can't see it being good unless you're playing against a control list, and a control list probably isn't ending within 2 of you. But I guess it's end movement, not activation.
Yeah, it's any movement.
I don't.
So it's not a movement action like it is. Mm-hmm. I mean, we all know how good. I was going to say Spider Tracker, but that's a little different.
Oh, it's advanced short, not towards.
Yeah, it's just an advanced omni fucking directional. It's great.
Yeah, it is good. Sorry, I thought it was advanced towards the person that moved, but it's explaining that it's not within 2 of an enemy. Yeah. No, this is good. I don't know how you would utilize it, but it's clearly got usefulness.
This is one of those that if your Maximus starts the power phase with 4, and you go, I play plots then plots, your opponent goes, fuck.
Well, if you had exactly 4 power or 5 power, they're probably happy because you can't use fucking Disruption Field. But
the fact that your opponent now has to double check and triple check every single time they move a model for the rest of the round. That's the part. It's just
it really depends because they'd have to have a lot of people not within 2 of you already that want to be within 2 of you.
Yep.
So I don't see the list that wants it, but I also don't see a list that wants Maximus. So I'm sure there's one out there.
Picture you're on a generic D, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you've got 2 solo fights going on the wings. Someone's on your back point. 2 people have objectives, right? Logan fucking attacks a model on the right-hand side and places off his attack. And you're like, great, this other guy who was in range to get shot by your character on the other side is going to move away. Or the person that's on the back is going to move short towards the fight so that they are then in range to double tap.
Yeah.
I mean, there are so many different ways you can use this.
Yeah, this is a high ceiling card because obviously you could set up like traps that do stuff and like discourage things. I just don't see an overt way to use it immediately. So without putting a lot of thought into it, I think it's good, but I don't see how to abuse it at the moment.
All right. Let's go to the one with the most text. Royal Guardians. The reason why there's a lot of text is basically it's an interrupt bodyguard type effect. But it works.
It's just Karnak Gorgon team up.
No, it's Kargan. It's kind of like Heroes for Hire. You know how Heroes for Hire works for Iron Fist or Luke Cage, but it does the same thing. This is very similar. It works for Karnak or Gorgon, but they do something different depending on who uses it.
Okay, so either you Heroes for Hire and you survive, you give them weakness, or you Heroes for Hire, you survive, you give them shock and stun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but if you Heroes for Hire, Karnak could have just already given them weakness, right?
What?
Yes, this one is just free.
Okay, it just costs 2 less power. That's cool.
No, it costs 3. It costs 3 power to play.
No, it's free to put the weakness token out because
Yes.
he could just already put the weakness token out.
Yep.
Because they attacked him.
Because I thought weakness only worked against.
No, it's if he's attacked.
He's attacked.
But you played Heroes for Hire, so he was attacked. It's just free to put it out, right?
No, Royal Guardian. So Royal Guardian says an allied character within 3 of Karnak is attacked.
Yes.
He spends 3. He then gets placed, takes the attack, and then can place a weakness token for free. So it costs him 3 to take the attack and place a weakness token.
Yes, that's what I was saying.
Okay.
Because there's still the opportunity to place the weakness token. You just don't have to trigger it with this card, which is cool. Because you having 5 power. Well, I guess you'd only have to have 3 when you were targeted still. You'd have to then take 2. Yeah. The fact that you get to place Karnak in martial artist range is great. The free token is great because you're going to spend 2 anyway, so you're actually only netting losing 1 power from being attacked. I like it. It's a good card.
And then if your opponent decides to use their second attack to target Karnak, see if he took some damage, you then can use Analyzing Strike to get 3 additional dice, plus Martial Artist. So it does work.
You mean if they hit you again?
Yeah, if they attack Karnak the second round.
And you get your weakness token back.
Yeah, if you want to, yeah.
Okay.
Also, Shock and Stun is not nothing off Gorgon.
Yes. I don't know why you're trying to put attacks on your 3-point beater.
But
please,
I think specifically for Karnak, this is great because it allows Karnak to get into the fight. We just talked about how he doesn't easily get in. So I think this is Karnak's card first and Gorgon's card very, very.
I don't see you ever playing with Gorgon unless there's like one character you really need to shock and stun.
But I feel like with Karnak, this feels great. Like this is a great use of Karnak.
The fact, though, that you could theoretically put weakness up... why doesn't Karnak have taunt? That'd be amazing. Yeah. You could just keep chaining the weakness tokens on Martial Artist. Yeah. That'd be fucking sick.
Yeah.
But no, we're going to give it to fucking Gorgon. Anyway, it's weird.
I will say that another cool thing about this one is even though it costs 3, if you move once and meditate, you automatically have this active. So
yes.
For Karnak specifically, I think this is a really cool card. I'll probably be throwing it a couple times down because I will be playing Karnak a bunch.
Yeah.
And seeing how it goes. I think I will just like it every time.
Okay.
The last card. The Great Refuge.
It is Jank Rainbow Bridge. The active leader of the Inhumans must spend double the amount of power
per character.
for the amount of people he wants to Rainbow Bridge.
Yay, turn 1 bullshit jank.
I guess you could just place on the first turn, but it's like active card place 2. Yeah, I mean, you would just
place 3,
choose...
but yeah.
No, it costs 2. Sorry, yeah,
Yeah.
you place 3. So you could just activate it with big... Oh, no, because new Black Bolt's not the leader.
So you would
Old Black Bolt still gets 2 power, though. So you can just place Black Bolt on the first turn with this card and just not take Lockjaw. And he just double taps.
That's an option.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's good. That's a good use already.
Another option is if you wanted to take... You could have a character like Karnak, or if you wanted to... Because they still don't have a 2-pointer in Inhumans, play a character like Wong. Wong can Wong meditate and pull up?
Yeah, he can pass 1 power for an action, but then he's empty.
Then he's empty. Okay, so that doesn't let you double dip. Yeah. I was just trying to think of a way to give Black Bolt 4 power.
You could double meditate and not move. You could double meditate to 3 power, and then pass 1 for the cost of 2, and then give his last power with the leadership to Black Bolt.
So if you wanted to completely sacrifice Wong, but then you're basically doing
you just take Lockjaw at that point.
Yeah, just take the dog. Yeah. So I think it's
because Lockjaw gets to place them both 3, and it doesn't cost a tactic slot.
The other option, of course, is on turn 1, a character is about to go do something. On turn 1, Black Bolt gobbles up a power. On turn 2, Black Bolt gobbles up another power, then places 2 models. One could be himself. So you just need to, on top of turn 2 of round 1, he could place 2 models with just his own leadership if he has any power anywhere to gobble. So that's not bad.
I think it'd be better to do like Gorgon, because you just drop Gorgon, Black Bolt in the midline, Black Bolt double taps, then you activate Gorgon next, he steals the power from Black Bolt and charges with a beam. And you just double beam with Shock, which could be cute. Or you just charge in and just double tap them. Maybe you get Hope to spike, or just kill somebody. Clean up hurt people, maybe. Yeah. This is obviously good.
Mm-hmm. So, Inhumans, I think... Oh, sorry. I'll wait. Aaron, is this an auto windmill slam? What's your trash scale on the Great Refuge?
Absolutely. 1,000%. Probably the best Inhumans card in the game.
Yeah, this should be in every person's 10, unless you're just not playing Black Bolt 1. And even then, probably still be in your list.
Okay.
Because Maximus and Medusa are much worse at playing it, like much, much worse at playing it. But still, probably worth it. Because the fact that Medusa could like kill 2 people and get out and not die would be really nice. She could also place herself and then hop people over her to place other people even farther, which could be cute. Mm-hmm. But obviously that's a later play. But yeah, if you have Black Bolt 1 as your leader, this is stapled to him.
Yeah. With the exception of Maximus, because I think Maximus is the big, maybe not, who knows if you want to play him or not, just to, give him a try. With the exception of Maximus, because I think he's a big wild card, literally because that's what he's supposed to be. I feel like this box is huge for Inhumans, specifically because the thing they didn't have before was a strong tactics card selection. They had a very situational tactics card that was okay in Terrigen Mist, and that was it. So now they have a bevy of cards.
Royal Family was fine, right?
It was like fine, but it very rarely took up one of your 5.
I mean, never mind. I'm not going to say that.
Well, it's Inhuman Royal Family is totally outclassed by Homo Sapiens, right?
Yeah, I think that's true.
Yeah.
No, what I'm trying not to say is that there's a trend that I'm trying not to point out that is upsetting me. Okay. And so I'm just going to leave it alone.
Okay.
But you are correct.
Yeah.
I completely believe that you are correct.
Yeah. So they've got a huge bevy of tactics cards. So if you like playing Inhumans, but you didn't feel like you had a tactics card that you were excited to play, you've now got Oodles. And the other thing they really needed was what they really need is a 2-coster. That's fine that we didn't get it. We don't need more 2-costers. But they got some 3-costers that like to get stuck in, that don't feel like they're made completely of glass, that like to just go and brawl, because they didn't have that at all before. So I think I don't know if they needed a very true to form like canon King Black Bolt, but they got one, and so we get to play. If you're an Inhuman player, I say we because I love Inhumans too, but you get to play the Black Bolt from the comics. But I feel like they really got an expansion in their ability to so things they didn't have before, which is efficient combat 3-costers and tax cards. So good box for an Inhuman player.
Yeah, you should definitely be pumped if you play Inhumans and you're going to get this box. It's got a lot of good stuff in it.
I did not get the Asgard box because I wasn't super excited. As much as I enjoyed the Asgardians in the comic books, I wasn't super excited to have that box. I am really excited for this box because I feel like it just drips my favorite part of the Inhumans from the comic books. So
I bought the Asgard box, and I absolutely love both of the characters in it that I play, which is Mighty Thor and Sif, because they're exactly what I want.
Yeah, and I'm very excited for Karnak and Gorgon. Very, very excited for them. I think there'll be a ton of fun to play. I'll probably end up playing King Black Bolt at some point because he's just so generically Black Bolt. But I don't know how much I'm going to enjoy it. We'll see.
Yeah. Alrighty. Do we have anything else to chat about? Cool. It's nice to actually have some content to talk about. That was cool. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today. This has been Brandon.
And Parker.
And Aaron.
And you've just listened to I Thought 4 Physical Defense on a 3-pointer was strong.
So what are we going to call this thing?
I got it. Okay. Incredible, new, fantastic, astonishing, mighty, original, uncanny, sensational podcast.
I'm just going to put down infamous.
We are back.
So back.
Parker's back.
I want you to know I have to mention this. I totally forgot to mention it when I saw you guys again. I think I figured out why Jeremy can't clap.
Is it because he's a double amputee?
I think it's because I think part of it may be his rhythm. I think that is definitely part of it. But I think it's exacerbated by his actual connection to the internet, because I think he is slightly laggy more than anybody else. I think he actually is not receiving.
He is 100% the person who has the most computer-based latency and lag.
Yeah.
Because I edit the podcast, and there's a lot of evidence of that when I edit it, because like his audio has to be stretched out more than everybody else's, because his computer can record, but over long periods of time it starts like dropping frames basically, so I have to go through and adjust the time length of his track for that reason. But yeah, I mean, I don't know that shouldn't have anything to do with it. Like, we're talking over the course of a 2-hour recording, he's off by like 6 seconds. Like, that's not a relevant amount of time. Now, if you told me the problem is, like, he's the one clapping, right? He's the one setting the tempo. And so we would be the people experiencing the weird thing. But when you play back his recording, it's still fucked. And so that wouldn't be the case. If he was listening to you clap and trying to pace you and his internet was lagging, that would make sense. But that's not what's happening. He's counting in rhythm on a recorded track, locally recorded, and it's fucked. Like, that's 100% a tempo issue.
Yeah. So anyway, I want you to know I have some sympathy for him now, because before I couldn't understand how it was happening, but now after close analysis, I'm confident that he is at least partially not at fault.
He might be deaf. We don't know.
You are so wrong. This is 100% his fault.
Oh, wow.
A grown fucking man who can't count to 5. There is no one else to blame but that person.
Did I ever send you I can only count to 4 video?
No. Wait, no. I have a feeling you did. Oh, I was going to ask you, Brandon. The 2 videos I said, maybe 3 videos I sent you. I'm trying to find a video that you've never seen before and send you one. So I really want to know if you.
I mean, you've seen videos I haven't seen, but probably not on Facebook.
Right, I guess.
All right, I know Aaron's not going to like this, so I'm only sending it to Parker.
On Facebook?
No, it's on just direct message you on Discord.
Okay.
So the backups will be destroyed for this, but
yeah.
The normal track should be fine.
Oh,
It's a spoof of
Yeah.
Drowning Pool. Yeah.
I just let it go like 9 seconds because
Yeah.
that's
The whole thing is funny, but it's a lot of the same.
So my question is, did you see any of the videos I sent you, or had you seen them all already?
I haven't watched anything today.
Okay. I think it was only
mean-
last night I sent them to you, so I forgive you.
My printer situation is finally in a good place, so I am feasting on the production time. And so I've been
Nice.
nonstop chaining prints, and it's been nice.
Flippin' sweet.
Speaking of, the last print for Josh's 2 organizer boxes he ordered is on the printer right now.
Nice.
I think he wanted a custom one. Here, I'll send you a picture. This is a render posted in the podcast channel.
Oh, that's tight. Did you
Yeah.
make that?
I made the door.
That is awesome.
I mean, it's a reused. I just took
Mhm.
a picture of Venom and I just transformed it into an STL and then edited it to the size I needed.
Who
And then
wants this? Who you
It's
making
for
this
Josh,
Josh.
but I'll
That's
have it with me
badass.
tomorrow. So,
That's badass. That's super cool. I like that a lot.
yep, it looks clean.
Oh, okay. So, right before the cast, I saw something, and this is the first time in a long time I've seen something in a video game that I don't have to pay for, that I'm paying for as fast as I can. Just click, 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 take my money. In Marvel Rivals, a new Captain
God.
America skin is coming out in 2 days. It's Cap from Infinity War. It's from sorry, not Infinity. Is Infinity War? That's the one where Thanos comes, right? That's the
Infinity War is when is it? Does he have the double shield?
yes, the double shields. It's the
Okay,
vibranium.
the Wakanda shields.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
the double vibranium shield.
That's the worst Captain America, so it makes sense you would like it.
No, it's the best one. It's the one for my favorite. It's my favorite scene in the entire Infinity Saga is whenever Corvus Glaive and Proxima Midnight are beating the shit out of Vision
Scarlet
and
Witch
Wanda.
and Vision, yeah.
Yeah, and then and he throws
Cap
the
just on
spear.
the other side.
Yeah, he throws the spear at the shadow, and Captain America just fucking catches it. Oh, it's so badass. It starts playing the cat music in the background. You're like, oh, it's so good. I love it. Or maybe it's the Avengers theme in the background. But regardless, it's fantastic. I am super excited for.
That whole era was such like the best part of the MCU, right?
Mhm.
Like you had Avengers 2 into Civil War into Infinity War and all that stuff. What's it called? Winter Soldier, all that stuff. All that was such a great section of the multiverse.
I have a student right now who, she sees Spider-Man stuff all over my room, and she's like, I'm really into Marvel right now. Oh, really? Are you reading comics? She goes, no. My family just got Disney Plus, and we're just kind of watching all the Marvel stuff in order because Disney Plus lets you watch it, in chronological order. And she said, we just got through basically the entire Infinity Saga. And I was like, do you like it? She's like, it was so good. I am such a super fan. And they go, well, it's all downhill from here. And she goes, oh no, what do you mean? I was like, there'll be high points. It's not nothing. It's not, you won't hate it, but
you should have just completely ruined her life. Like, Eternals is so good. It's going to be life changing.
Whatever you do, watch Eternals slowly and carefully. No, I told her,
because the first time you watch it, you won't get it. You'll need to watch it a few more times.
Yeah.
But trust me, it gets better.
She said, we just watched WandaVision, and I actually kind of liked it. I was like, okay, yeah. And she says, I'm getting started with Loki. The first episode was awesome. I was like, yeah. And I'm just like, oh, I feel so sad for you whenever you get to the next couple. You're going to feel like you wasted your time. But I didn't tell her she'd hate it. I just said, you be prepared to be disappointed. It could happen.
Yeah.
But I'm going to get my Captain America Vibranium Double Shield on. It's going to be so good. I'm going to be diving that back line. That's my favorite Captain America. That probably is my favorite Captain America. If I could get any MCP mod, I think it'd be that. I want one of my caps to be that version. I guess it'd be called like Secret Avengers cap, right? Because that's like what he is, and that the black. It's the black star and everything else. That was so cool.
I'm putting this on the list just for the memes.
On a list, what?
The The list for today's Mojo.
Oh, you're just adding something to the list.
Okay, I should have plenty. There's so many terrible ones too that like it says a lot about your parents. Oh my god, there's so many. There's so many that are like illegal now. Oh man.
I wish I could say that I've been conserving my voice all day, but I haven't been able to. I've been teaching hard and then doing parent-teacher conferences till basically now, till the podcast starting. And the whole day, I was like, I need to keep something in the tank because I'm so excited to talk about the cast today. I love our main topic. I love the news so much. I'm so excited to talk about it.
I don't think there's any news.
Specifically talk about it. I mean, I'm not just excited that it is happening. I'm excited to hear what you guys have to say and
I don't think there's any news.
How I feel.
We're gonna skip right past the news.
But I'm just so low. I'm so low on juice. I need the juice.
Oh, don't worry. I'm sure the Mojo will get you there.
What about you, Aaron? You got something in the tank?
I am running on empty until the end of March. Permanently.
I think he means energy-wise, not...
Energy-wise?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm always a 10 out of 10. What's wrong with you, Parker? Why would you question my energy?
That's factually incorrect.
I was just curious. I was just making conversation.
Okay.
I started watching 1883.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's exactly as good as I expected it to be, which is good. I'm excited to finish it.
I'm glad for you.
Parker, I started watching Freerin.
Oh, yeah?
I think I'm on like episode 7.
It's a sleepy show. What do you think?
It is a sleepy show. I watch it when I go to bed, and I'm pretty sure I've missed like at least an episode by now by just falling asleep and not remembering where I was.
Yeah.
Because there's like you can tune in an episode, and it's hard to tell if you've seen that part or not.
Yeah.
You're like, I remember them kind of chatting, but they do that a lot. But yeah.
Yeah, it is. I really enjoy it, but it is very different. Well, the best way to is pace, right? It just, in a lot of ways, actually, it's kind of paced like an RPG. Not Dungeons and Dragons exactly, because there's a lot better rhythm of like combat encounters in Dungeons and Dragons sessions usually, but it really is like just a lot of character interaction and like little bit.
Yeah, there's very little combat.
Yeah, although it does pick up later on in that season. Towards the end, they find themselves in using more magic. I'd be curious to know what you think about their magic system later, because you find out that what Furin does is...
Well, don't tell me.
Yeah, you find out that she does something interesting. I'll be curious to know what you think about their magic system. It's cool. Because I know you like examining like systems like that people write.
Oh, you weren't there yesterday.
Yeah, that's right. Did you... You need me to see something, or you just want to talk about something?
No, I wanted to show you in person, but you don't care about me and didn't show up, so it's fine.
When you said that message, I can't receive... My Discord, gives me giant chunks at certain points of the day whenever it gets enough signal to, give it to me. So I missed the message.
That's fine.
So it's too late.
I need to read this. I'm going to post a picture for you, because you need to be able to see the beauty of what I see.
Okay.
It's in the podcast channel. It's done.
What?
The book's done. Book 18 is on the way.
So now it's just basically make it, right? To just edit it, publish it?
Yeah, it's gone to the editor, and so they're going to do, obviously, the editing revisions, and then it will be in production. So we're probably a couple months away from release.
Oh, shit.
I'm very excited. For those that don't know, the Jim Butcher series, Dresden Files, is the 18th book is coming out. Probably early this year.
I'm not gonna lie, you know what I'm doing right now? I'm actively trying to suppress myself. Because I don't want to start, because I know these things are processes and they take a while, and who knows how many
that means I need to start actively rereading the series right now. So I can be primed for when it comes out.
I feel really confident that the last book is pretty seared into my memory. But previous books. If they're like counting on me to remember a character from 3 books ago, I might not have it. I would have to.
Well, he does a pretty good job of giving you the really fast and dirty recap every time he introduces somebody you haven't seen in a while. Because he does it so well in like one sentence that you immediately remember who the character is.
That's true.
And but yeah, I just like rereading the series, obviously.
Right.
Which used to go a lot faster, and now that there's another 5 books out since I started reading, it takes a lot longer because those are the longest books by far. But yeah, as soon as football season is officially over, I will probably start my reread because I'm absorbing a lot of sports audio content right now. Parker, are you in the sports channel on our Discord?
Mm-hmm. Although honestly,
you never check it.
Well, no, I do, but when I get there, it's oftentimes like if I see the word trade or like anything like that, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. So like I don't usually key into it very much because you guys are following you guys when you guys are following a lot of postseason stuff like and like I guess where you would say this like financial management stuff, and I know you guys really get excited about it, and I just don't have any context for any of it, so I just go okay. Fine.
Yeah. The one that Connor posted today I actually had to sit down and just process the stat that he told me. It's so unbelievable.
As a starter, Patrick Mahomes is more likely to make it to the Super Bowl than he is to complete a pass.
So dumb.
That is.
I'm sure everyone who's not from Kansas City hates us right now, but
yeah. I will actually say this real quick, and I'll say this. The only thing about it is I have been trying ostensibly to really step back and being like, okay, maybe what has Casey done to deserve the hate, right? Like there's so much Casey haterade out there.
That's I understand people are just like, I don't like the Chiefs. Like, I get it. I didn't like the Patriots. I didn't like many other franchises when they were having their like big heyday. It's like, I totally understand not liking other teams. I support you in not liking other franchises. I think that's healthy. The thing that is really weird, and I don't think a lot of people get, is the ref stuff, which is like there's like Chiefs get some calls. There's no question to that, but they don't get a lot of calls as well. And Chiefs historically have been one of the doesn't get calls franchises of anyone. Like, if you go back and look, like, we get shit on by the refs more than almost any other team. Now, obviously, in the last couple of years, I'd say there's been some high leverage calls that went for us, and certainly it helped. But the vast majority of them are, like, objectively correct calls. Like, they're just kind of soft, and I get it. Like, soft calls suck. When it'd be much easier just have, like, okay, this was blatant, like, it's obviously a penalty, throw the flag. But the narrative that has become a thing on like Twitter is ridiculous, like obviously silly, and it's at the point now where I don't think a lot of people realize, because I talked to Connor about this earlier in the season when it first started, because it was just meme accounts posting it, and they just go through and they search the most engaged clip of the weekend, and then they just post something about that to get engagement. And so that's where all this kind of started from. And so a lot of that shit is just what it is. It's just clickbait. And so people are clicking on it and getting, engagement so that the engagement farmers are getting money. But then the people that are like actually believing it are also like the flat earth people to me at this point. Like, it's the people that refuse to actually look at the data and see that it's like, oh, actually, like the Chiefs are penalized more than other teams, 4 more yards than other teams, more frequently than other teams, and they are actually dead last in margin of penalty since Patrick Mahomes became the starter. They're the worst team at gaining benefit from penalties, which is silly. Like, and so like the fact that there's like zero evidence to support any of it, and there's a guy doing a lot of good trying to like counteract this narrative, and he works for some stat company, and he's like, I don't have a dog in the race, but like people are saying X, and X is objectively not true. Now, you can have that opinion and it's fine, but like what you're saying, it has no ground in reality. And so then people are like, well, obviously when you call the penalty is more important than what the penalty was. He's like, well, that's true. And so he goes through and he like indexes his data better, and he's like, okay, well, in high leverage moments, like fourth quarter overtime, final drives of like down one score. He's like, the Chiefs are here in the pack, and it's like below average. And it's like, okay, well, what about this? And they basically, every time they come at him with like another argument, he's like, the data also doesn't support that narrative. And so, like, there's a couple where it's like they're at least better than average, but it's just silly that they like act like it's all rigged. And the people saying like the NFL is scripted, it's like, Parker, do you know who owns the NFL?
No.
The NFL is owned by the 32 owners. They are the NFL. It's the 32 owners of the franchises.
That's what I assumed, but I didn't know if there was some sort of...
They have formed the organization. They manage Roger Goodell and the other staffers. Like, they work directly for the owners. They are his boss. Mm-hmm. And so the concept that the NFL is rigging a game against franchises for franchises is silly, because they'd be rigging the games against themselves just to risk getting deregulated and not being allowed to be bet on by the sports books, which is a huge source of revenue. There is no advantage whatsoever in doing that.
Also, there's also just the generic thing that when people see something that doesn't fit into their schema, they immediately leap for a conspiracy to explain it, right? They look for, okay, what is the most likely explanation, or what provides the most acceptable solution that I could have no control over and is completely outside of my ability.
The logic of it's easier for me to believe that they're rigging it as opposed to that someone's winning at this rate.
Right. And so what's often, I guess to go back to my original statement, because I know you felt strongly about it, and so I wanted you to say it. But I stepped back and I went like, is there anything about this era, the Mahomes era, that should make me look upon myself and wonder if we somehow are, the word is, like, villainous, right? And I thought about it for a second. I was like, no. Like, I have no regrets. I feel like we're playing exactly the same game as other people. And one of the ways that I know this is there was another team in recent memory, the last team to be on top, which was the Patriots, that had numerous substantiated villainous ideas and practices, right?
Yeah.
And so I go, as long as, there's never a moment in which somebody points and provides evidence for KC being felonious or breaking the rules in any way, then they're just playing the game that everybody else is better. The end. That's not.
There's definitely a thing like fatigue and all that, and like you don't naturally root for the front runner, right? Like that's a very rare thing. Only when there's a unanimously liked person has that ever happened. And the age of social media, it's basically never happened, right? Since social media became mainstream, like pretty much nobody is universally liked, because you just like. If somebody didn't like Michael Jordan, you didn't get to see it on Twitter every day. Like, it was just some dude that had an opinion and nobody cared what his opinion was. And so I think nowadays you get more hate than you do from back in the day. And so when it comes to like the cheating narrative, or not cheating, the referee narrative, and just people disliking the Chiefs in general, I think it's mostly come down to just like the announcers of the games, pretty much. Like the ref thing, I think basically came down to two of our television announcers over the last 2 years basically just making a big deal out of it. And then, because the first one was Chris Collinsworth in the season opener last year, where Juwan Taylor kept getting false starts. And so he was leaving early, but that's a thing that like half the tackles in the league do. And the most famous person doing it is Lane Johnson, the Hall of Famer for the Eagles. But because Chris Collinsworth was announcing our game, and he just kept harping on it, it's like, oh, he false started again. And so it's like, yeah, but a lot of teams are having this event happen, and because he was announcing our game, they freaked out about it. And so then for the next like 6 to 8 weeks, we were targeted by the penalties, which is fine if you're trying to stop at a behavior that makes sense. But they weren't calling it on other teams that were still doing it. They were only calling it on us. And it got so bad that Andy Reid pulled Juwan Taylor and put in another tackle to play his position for him for a few plays. Had him do the exact same thing, they just didn't call it on him. And so they were only calling it on the one guy that Chris Collinsworth was complaining about. And it's like, okay, guys, come on. Like, at least just call it fair and we won't care. But like, you're just targeting somebody for no reason. Then the other one was Tony Romo, I believe, earlier this year, who was saying like, oh, the Chiefs get all the calls, blah blah blah, early in the season, and ever since then, the narrative has been growing and growing and growing on Twitter. And I think it's mostly the engagement farmers and just stupid crap. But I would personally just like to get back to watching football.
Yeah, like I said before, if there wasn't exactly a precedent for this, I would be like,
Yeah.
I can see how people feel this way, and I agree with you. People are gonna have a hard time rooting for the person in front, right? That's hard.
Yeah, the front runner.
Yeah, it's difficult to do this, you know. But it's the word evil, that I go, oh, what? And I really had to examine it. That's all I was saying.
I think for AFC opponents, for sure, and specifically the Niners, I think it makes a lot of sense for them to hate us because the AFC, basically every contender for the last 7 years has had their season ended by us. It's like the very drag end of the Ben Roethlisberger Steelers era, then all of the Lamar Jackson, all of the Tua era, all of the Josh Allen era. It's like we've been knocking those teams out of the playoffs left and right. So I definitely understand them hating us like that. I said earlier, I totally encourage that behavior because that's how sports work. You're supposed to hate the team that beats you. But yeah, and then the Niners specifically, because I do think that they would have had an easy walk to 2 Super Bowls if it wasn't just for the fact that they played us. And even then, like those games were crazy epic. And so I totally get it. I was actually I was driving home yesterday and I was like, you know what? I really hope Josh Allen wins the MVP this year because he deserves an award of some kind. Like, without Josh Allen on the Bills, they're probably a mediocre team.
Oh, you said you hope he gets it? That's what you said?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I know Pat's not going to win it, right? Even though I actually think there'd be justification for it, but I mean, obviously it should go to probably somebody else this year. But historically speaking, if there's like someone takes a team to 15-1, they win the MVP regardless. Like, but this year that's not the case, and the Bills were close to our record. So were the Lions and the Vikings. So, like, I get it. I don't think this is, like, an obvious year for Pat. I think there's been other years that Pat should have won it, but I dislike when the MVP isn't honest, when it's, like, the voter fatigue thing. Because, like, Michael Jordan, I think, has 5 MVPs on his career, and it's like, oh, how many of those years was Michael Jordan not the best player in the league? Right? Like, maybe a couple. Like, once he started winning, he should have gotten, like, 7 of, like, 8. And so it's just silly to me that like they don't give it to those people. But
Aaron, I have a question for you.
Why do you hate sports?
Yes.
That wasn't my question. My question was, on a scale from, I'll just get your trash scale, okay? -10 to +10. Mm-hmm. How excited are you for Jurassic World Rebirth?
What? That's a movie?
Yeah. Trailer just dropped this week. They're going back to the original island. They're going to get them some dinosaurs.
We're going to say -6.
-6. Wow. That's higher than I would have thought. I know you don't like spoilers, Brandon, and I know you're really excited to watch this movie. Can I give you the premise? So
you just told me the premise. They're going back to the original island.
Yeah. You know why, though? It's important.
I don't know why. I don't really want to know why. That would probably reduce the odds of me seeing the movie.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'd like you to know.
Not because I don't think it'll be a good reason. It's just like the more I know, the less intrigued I am. So I just won't bother to check.
Okay. I know you don't like spoilers of movies at all, but I thought maybe if you'll never see this one, I could tell you everything you need to know about it.
So I'm definitely not excited, but it would not be a refuse to watch situation, right? Like Alita Battle Angel 3 comes out, I'm not watching that. Like I don't care. Like you would have to pay me
there's been a
large amount of money.
There hasn't been a 2.
There's 2 Alita Battle Angel movies right now. There's going to be a third, I know it.
There's no way there's 2 Alita Battle Angel movies.
Google it.
Why do you keep saying this?
Because it's a real thing.
There's no way. There's no
way.
There's a book.
Is there not? I swear to God, there's 2. Anyway, But like that's a movie I just straight refuse to watch, right? You'd have to pay me a large amount of money to compensate me for my time.
Okay. It says here there is going to be an Alita Battle Angel 2. It's
Yeah.
expected to be released this year.
Yeah. See? Told you. I'll be there with you watching it.
I am so excited to watch this with you. I would love to
You're just
mystery.
going to pay me like $100 an hour to watch it.
I want to go. Watch it in our favorite theater because it'll just be me and you there. That's why it's my favorite theater, and we can fucking Mystery Science Theater this shit and just laugh at it the whole time. I'm super.
But yeah, so like I'm not against seeing the next Jurassic World movie, but I'm also not at all excited to. And so I guess the question is a 1 out of 10 I do not want to watch it, or I'm just not excited.
Well,
Like my level of passion is a 1 out of 10, but my level of dislike is also like a 1 out of 10. Does that make sense?
I'm with you.
Okay.
I have to say that I would rather see Alita Battle Angel 2 so much more than this Jurassic Park movie, and that says it all.
Really? Did you hate one of the Jurassic movies?
Yeah. Let me think. I think it's everyone after the first one.
Really? I really liked Lost World.
Lost World. That's not 2, right? That's
2.
That's 2. That's the one where they go back and rescue
Yeah, it's
the kid.
without Dr. Grant. They go back with just Ian Malcolm, and they're
that's
trying
3.
to.
That's 3, I think.
No, it's the one without Dr. Grant. It's just Ian Malcolm. They go back to the island, and they're trying to basically capture the dinosaurs for like military purposes.
Yeah, that's.
And then they leave, and then they end up realizing after the fact that they took some of the dinosaurs with them, and then a T-Rex gets loose in LA, and then they end up capturing it finally and sending it back. And then the third one is they
2.
hire Dr. Grant to go save. Yeah, that's what I just said.
Oh, I had
they
the
hire
numbers.
Dr. Grant to go do something on the island. They end up saving the girl, right?
Yeah,
that's 3.
It's a kid. Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, the girl.
So okay, so I misspoke. It's 3 onwards. Yeah, that's the answer.
3 is not good. I don't know that it's a terrible watch, but it's not a great movie. But I actually like 2 more than 1. But I respect 1 as a much better film. And then Jurassic World was fine. Like it's not great cinema, but it's fine. And then the most recent one where there's like the auction thing was fine. It's not great, but it's fine. All right, you guys ready to jump into this Mojo verse? This week on Mojo World, we have Best Childhood Toy, and we're going to emphasize non-electronic, because if you allow electronics, we get into video games, which is a whole different thing. All right, so this week, Parker will be going first, followed by myself, and then Aaron.
Ready?
Yep.
Number 1, not close. Transformers.
Transformers.
More than meets the eye.
How many Transformers did you own as a child?
Like, gotta give me a hot second. I owned
Like 2? Never mind. It's going to be way more than I want to know.
No,
I've never owned a Transformer ever.
No. I think I can think of this. It's I think I owned 8 vehicles. Like 3 of them were jets. I was a big fighter jet kid. So 3 were jets, 1 helicopter, and then 4 cars of different makes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I owned a crossover Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Transformer, where there was a Teenage Mutant Turtle that also transformed. It was like a crossover thing. And I played that one like crazy. And I think I have 2 of those. 3 of those.
All right.
Yeah.
So my number 1 pick is going to be Legos. Because it's the best choice. I never had Transformers. That's interesting.
That was my number 1. Oh, sorry, that was my number 2 was Legos.
All right, Aaron. Favorite sex toy, go.
The Ribomatic.
It just so happens that my favorite childhood toy is my favorite sex toy, and it's the Ewok Village. You would be surprised what you can put in that thing.
I bet.
I thought you were
Is that actually your pick? Is the Ewok Village?
Absolutely.
Okay.
See, I thought you were going to say a hole in your pocket.
All right, Aaron, you get a second pick.
I know I do.
Is it the Ewoks that go in the Ewok Village?
Why are you making fun of my Ewok Village?
I didn't. I'm
You are
just
clearly
asking.
denigrating.
You're incorrectly inferring.
Regardless, my second pick is Light Bright.
Ooh, I forgot about the Light Bright. That was fun. Unfortunately, that's an illegal entry because it's electronic.
It does not violate the code.
What?
Yeah.
It is 100% electronic.
I'm gonna allow it because it's not digital, right? It's just
We didn't say non-digital. We said non-electronic.
But
If you don't plug it in, it's not electronic. I had so much fun with a not plugged in Light Bright. Go fuck yourself.
Okay, that's scary,
Yeah.
but it's a whole separate issue.
I
It's
think
still
this-
electronic.
I do think this. I think this absolutely counts.
No, because there's a lot of stuff that you can't count, like the Talk Boy from Home Alone 2. Like, that's an electronic.
Right, because
Even though it's not a video game and it's not
yeah,
digital.
it's not digital.
Like
but-
VCR. My favorite toy is a VCR. Like,
No, but I mean, what if the toy makes a noise when you push a button? It's a jet
batteries,
that
yeah,
makes a
not
swishing.
electronic.
If you have a toy jet that makes a swishing noise when you push a button, that's
Is
counts
it
as electronic. You
via
can't use it.
electricity or is it via a mechanic? Like
It's electricity, right?
If it is, then I would say no. Because
Wow.
I'm not saying that we can't do electronics. I'm saying we agreed to make lists that didn't include electronics, so I made a list that didn't have electronics on.
Okay. All right. Well, shit.
Like Easy Bake Oven, it's electronic.
Yeah.
Or it has a candle. If it has a candle, I'm in. It's a little tiny, like 8-hour candle you put in there.
Yeah, I think you have to veto this. If this is the rule, I guess.
It's a bullshit rule.
I guess we have
That's
to.
fine. I am next week. We can do electronic toys, and I'll save your Light Bright. Not trying to be mean. It's just the rule.
Just the rule.
It's the rules.
Okay,
Aaron, we live in a society.
The replacement for your bullshit rule mongering is the Etch-a-Sketch.
There you go. Except that's electronic.
What?
How the fuck do you spell Etch-a-Sketch?
Exactly like it looks.
It's 3 words. I would have guessed it was all jammed together. I spelled it ETCHIS. All right. Etch-a-Sketch. Okay. Good pick, Aaron. Good pick. I don't know what they're called, but I would recommend the pens with the gears as an alternative. I don't know what they're called, though.
Those are called spirographs.
Yeah, just pick spirographs. Okay, my next up. Now this one, this is gonna be entirely open for banning because I don't know that this officially counts, but I think it works. Bicycle.
I see. Yeah, that's banned. I don't think it's
Okay.
a toy, right? Now, if
Is
you would have said
how-
one of those the little bicycles you can use with your hands.
No, not those.
Okay.
Is it not a toy?
I don't think those are toys, right? They're like transportation. I know there's like
But no child uses it for transportation. It's a kid's bike, right? It's not a 10-speed. It's like a bike.
Like wiffle ball and bat. Is that a toy or sports equipment?
Yeah. I'm fine if you veto it. I'm just saying that would be my next pick.
I guess I'm saying veto. I guess.
Aaron's going to veto me just out of
I'm,
spite.
I'm saying veto.
Aaron?
Yeah, I'm saying veto. Not a toy.
I'm
Aaron?
just gonna go with whatever Parker said.
Okay, so Aaron specifically vetoed me.
Out
I
of
heard
hate,
him.
yes.
Mm-hmm. All right, rollerblades.
Nope.
Fucking damn it. If you say skateboard
That's
next.
not transportation. Okay, skateboard is 100% a toy. All right, next up. I'm counting this. Power Rangers Megazord.
Sure.
Yeah.
Doesn't make a noise, does it? No batteries in that shit? It's just okay.
I probably played with that more than any other single toy when I was a kid. But it was also the toys I had, so they got played with a lot. All right, Parker, you got your last 2.
I'm going to talk about the Nerf launchers. They launched
The
little
disc
Nerf
launcher?
balls. No, the ones that
Oh.
launched the little yellow balls, the Nerf balls. They had like 8 or 9 different varieties of them. I had like 3 different kinds.
Okay, Nerf ball launcher.
Yeah.
Next.
I'm going to go with Hot Wheels track.
You motherfucker.
Specifically the tracks. Hot Wheels are fine, but the tracks, that's where it's at.
Yeah, that's fair. I had a Hot Wheels, it was like a suitcase that opened up. There's like a second level that went like a bunch of it was like a 2-story strip mall with Hot Wheels, and so there was a bunch of garages and stuff they could pull in and out of. I had that thing forever, but that was like a garage sale item.
Yeah. I love, my grandparents had old school track set, and I would build that thing up,
Mhm.
attach it to random shit, have them go downstairs and loop de loops, all kind of stuff. So much fun.
All right, Aaron, take us home.
Care Bears.
Care Bears?
Mm.
Is that a toy? I thought it was a TV show.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Care Bears. That's what it's called.
They
Okay.
came out in 1982.
I believe you. I didn't know that was a physical object.
It is.
All right.
It was kind of like Transformers. It was a cartoon to sell toys.
Okay. Were they just like teddy bears?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But they had the
okay.
little Care Bear, and then they would get together, they would join hands, they'd be, Care Bear stare! And they would fight all the bad guys.
Which I think is the weirdest name for like their special move. Like
That is weird.
It is
it's
what it is.
weird. Yeah.
Would you guys have accepted Yu-Gi-Oh cards?
No.
I didn't think so. Maybe we'll do a best.
Well, I would have.
TCGs. Hold on, I just had a bunch of good ideas for topics, so I'm writing them all down so we don't forget. Okay. Honorable mentions. I have a few. I actually have many. So I already said Yu-Gi-Oh! Pokemon also fits in there. Pogs as the worst toy ever. Do you guys remember Pogs?
Mm-hmm. My friends were all big into them. I never really got into
Yeah.
them.
So for people that don't know what Pogs were, they were just these little papery cardboard discs that you would collect, and they had like different designs and stuff on them. Like they were basically cardboard stickers, and you just stack them up, and you'd have like a plastic one or like a metal one that was called a slammer, and you'd stack them up and you'd slam on top of the stack, and like based on how they fell, things would happen. And it was stupid. It was really, really dumb.
Yeah, it was just the dumbest idea.
It was the dumbest thing ever, and there was just kids just littering everywhere. Basically, was the hobby. Actual good toys, Stretch Armstrong doll. Those were cool. There was a bunch of different ones too. Tamagotchis.
We couldn't use that electronic.
I know, no. I'm only mentioning it because I heard a funny joke that was Fitbits or just Tamagotchis, and the dumbass animal you tried to keep alive is you. Play-Doh would have been good.
I actually have one in here that I had to take off because I realized that it is too much like a bike, but I really wanted it. Is Radio Flyer wagons. I love those things. I don't know how many kids killed their siblings or like dislocated their shoulders, like pushing them on those things.
I never had a wagon, but every kid I knew had one of those Fisher-Price cars.
Yes. Yep.
Everyone had one.
I call them buggies. It's the red.
Were
buggies.
they called buggies?
Yeah.
It was like the yellow top, the big
Uh-huh.
swoopy top,
Uh-huh.
and the reason they had them is because like there was like 6 parents in the neighborhood that bought one, and then they all sold them at garage sales when their kid turned like 5, and so they just got passed down, basically down the street. Literally, they just went from house to house to house. Whoever had the youngest kid would just collect them, and then they would just trade them to the next parent. Those things never broke. You'd throw them down the fucking stairs every day. They never broke.
Yep.
And
Sterner
then
stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And then the trifecta of childhood toys is BB guns, wood burning kits, and lawn darts.
Yeah, I should have thought of BB guns.
just murder town. I didn't pick BB guns because
it's not
they're
really
so.
a toy.
It's definitely a toy. It's 100% a toy.
I mean, I guess I used pellet guns, but I hunted with pellet guns. Like I killed things with
exactly.
pellet
Pellet
guns.
guns. I mean, bow and arrow, like pellet guns, BB guns, bow and arrow, airsoft guns, water guns, Nerf guns, all that shit's like the same category, right?
One in here that
quite the same category.
Same category. It was weaponizing our youths, and it was a very important step.
I mean, pellet guns to me were like my beginning hunting tools, right? Like that's how I learned to use rifles and things, is with pellet gun first.
Yeah.
I had a BB gun before that. The BB gun was more like a toy because I couldn't really do anything except very poorly shoot at objects that are stationary.
Like knock over cardboard targets and stuff.
Aaron, you ever have a BB gun?
I did not. I led a sheltered childhood. Me and my Care Bears, no guns.
Care Bears and Ewoks, no guns.
Basically.
The one I did not have on here that I was so close to putting on was a Magic 8-Ball.
Ooh, Magic 8-Ball would be good. Yeah. Connect 4. I mean, we could do a whole one about childhood board games. Mousetrap, you remember Mousetrap?
Mm-hmm.
the game where nobody knew how to fuck to play. You just set up weird traps and just set everything off.
Yeah, nobody
I
cared
don't think
at
I've
all.
ever seen someone play a game of Mousetrap,
Yeah.
but I've seen that game set up 100 times.
I love, like, whoever came up with that one, like, wow, I made this really cool, like, Rube Goldberg machine, and people can play a game with it. And then somebody in the room had to go, but aren't they just going to want to use the Rube Goldberg machine? You're like, nah, they're going to want to, like, find the point of the game and solve it.
Yeah. There was, we had one of those at our elementary school, so every day at lunch, some new person who had never done it before would try to set up Mousetrap and play it. And so they'd spend the entire lunch hour trying to figure out how to set it up. And so they'd always get about 90% done and the lunch bell would ring and they'd realize they hadn't eaten lunch yet. And they were like, shit! They'd put everything back in the box. What they didn't know is a bunch of pieces were missing because it's an elementary school. So
Do you guys...
every day, just a new person would decide to waste their entire lunch hour.
Here's another crappy toy that everybody had. It was like a really common one. Do you guys remember what it looked like was like a coat hanger almost? It was a wire thing, and there was two
with
things,
the disc?
and a disc with magnets.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like two pins, and you have to move it
and the
back
thing
and
would
forth.
roll around the loop.
And you just the whole point was just to move it up and down.
It's just a kinetic toy,
and up and down.
The droning tubes.
Yeah,
those were stupid. There's the cup ball. There's the what's the paddle? Is it just the rubber ball and the paddle?
Yeah,
I don't know if that had a name. Slinky's also iconic.
Oh, remember those clicker clacker things where it was just two? It was a pendulum.
The
and
clappy hands. Yeah.
No, it wasn't hands. They were loud plastic spheres. And they would smack on both sides.
Yeah, and you'd have to go up and down with
it. Yeah. You have to time it right. And those things were loud as shit.
What bastard created that?
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm going to sell this to children.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember those.
I got Rubik's Cube. I was happy. I knew none of you guys would fucking pick Rubik's Cube.
No, because they're not fun.
It is very fun.
They're fun if you want to learn the strategy form, I think. That's probably pretty fun. Mm-hmm. But I never have.
The original inventor of the Rubik's Cube, he designed it as an engineer, and he's like, cool, so he made one, and then realized it's so much harder to solve than you would think, and so he had one, but he didn't know how to solve it, and so just imagining the first human to ever have a Rubik's Cube, and 0 humans know how to solve a Rubik's Cube, so he's just like, what do I do now? And so he just spent like 6 weeks trying to figure out how to solve it.
Wow.
He did nothing for every day but eat, sleep, and try and solve a Rubik's Cube, because basically his career was on the line. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and jump into it.